What do you need to do on your own? What do you need to do truly alone, where you are by yourself with no one else around? Now, there are action steps that you need to take on your own that you're responsible for. Like nobody's going to make your food for you unless you have a lot of money. Then you can pay them to do it. But nobody's going to work out for you. They can't. You have to do it on your own, but it doesn't mean that you are alone. And it shouldn't mean that you're alone. If you are alone, then that is a very short-sighted way to view things. Um, you can go into a cave and work out and prep for an event by yourself with no team, and it'll work. You know what I mean? You see it all the time. But even Rocky Four, man, when he went to Russia with a very select group of people, like three or four, like Paulie and three or four other people, and that was it. He still had people with him. He didn't do it by himself. He wasn't alone. He was never alone. He had a tight circle, but he was never alone. And you look at any story and anything that very few people are alone. Even the Punisher, like when you look at him, like his storyline, he wasn't alone. He went through some shit by himself, but he wasn't alone, you know? And it's too many of us think that we need to go through these things and figure things out alone. I need to figure out my training alone. I need to figure out my nutrition alone. I'm struggling with all these things all by yourself. You don't need to, and you shouldn't. There are people that can help. There are people that will support. There are questions that you ask, right? There are, what do I want? What do I want to get? What are my goals? How do I get them? And then another question that we fail to ask oftentimes is who needs to support me in this? Who needs to be in my corner? Who needs to be on my team? Who needs to be on my staff? You look at the way teams are built. You hire the head coach, hires a staff. The head coach doesn't do it all. He hires a staff to work with him to help support the goals of the team. This is the same thing, man. It's the same thing. You don't have to just hack away at it by yourself, alone. Like I said, there are certain things that you have to do on your own, but not alone. So stop struggling alone. You don't have to. And it's way more effective if you don't. And then when you do a lot of things alone, you end up like just white knuckling your way through. And that's not an effective long term strategy. If you just try to white knuckle your way through anything, you tend to fail. Like it's short sighted at best. And it just doesn't work. Like you look at like something like 75 hard. If you white knuckle your way through 75 days, like you're a badass. But it's not sustainable afterwards. It's not sustainable. You don't pick up those habits long term if it's just white knuckling through, right? It's just not a long term fix. You need people in your corner. You need people that are going to help guide you that have probably walked the same path before. People that can help support you through, people that can train with you, people that can prep with you, people roughly the same mission, going the same direction, right? Um, and then people that are going to give you feedback, people that are going to tell you the truth. Because the last thing you want is to either not get feedback, so you keep making the same damn mistakes over and over and over again, and then you literally, like that post I made today, you're living your weeks on repeat. It's like I make the same mistake every freaking week. Why do I do this? And I go through, I start the week with the best of intentions, and then by Tuesday, my willpower is getting shaky. By Wednesday, screw up. By Thursday, I've thrown out the will to continue. By Friday, I gave up. So then the week starts again, you know? And it just doesn't need to be that way. It doesn't need to be that way. What keeps us there? What keeps us there? I would say the ego, right? Your ego won't let you hear things because you don't want to hear the truth a lot of times. A lot of times we don't want to hear the truth about changing, because changing is hard, changing is difficult, and sometimes you'd rather stay put because it's easier. You don't have to look at yourself and say, "Man, I need to change, right? I need to change. I need to get after it. I need to make some big adjustments, whatever it is." We don't want to hear it. So it's easier to just not surround yourself with anyone than it is to surround yourself with people who will tell you the truth, who will get you to change, but that hurts. And keep in mind, like your ego's doing its job. All of our egos are designed to keep us safe, right? They're designed to keep us safe physically, but they're also designed to keep us safe emotionally, right? And unfortunately, to keep us safe emotionally, a lot of times it is going to be a very infantile state that it's going to keep us in. It's going to keep us in this like self-centered narcissistic mode where we don't ever want to hear that anything's our fault. We don't ever want to hear that that our problems are our own doing. That hurts the ego, and the ego wants to protect itself and it wants to protect you from harm. And to hear the truth, a lot of times, will harm your ego because as you grow, you have to outgrow that ego state, right? You grow into the next phase of the Freudian evolution, right? So doesn't want to hear it. Doesn't want to hear it. So it's easier to stay alone. It's easier to stay miserable, and it's easier to stay with your ego intact rather than have to shatter that and beat that up a little bit in order to expand, right? So find a team, find support, find people, find a tribe. Again, I don't really like that one, but it's totally true. You have to find who you fit in with, right? Find who's going to support you, find who's going to be positive for you, um, and just start hanging out with them. Surround yourself with people like that. You're the sum of the five people that you're around the most. And that goes for social media influence, that goes for in person, that goes for, everything. The shit you absorb is what you become. So absorb good shit. All right, that's all I got tonight. Let's get after it. See you guys tomorrow for the mental edge. And we're going to go over more of the hero's journey. So, all right, peace.